Welcome into this week's edition of the Chanticleer Football Update. Joe Cashion here, sitting alongside the interim head coach for the Chanticleer's, Coach Jamey Chadwell. And, Coach, it's been about a week and a half since we've had a chance to talk. And in that time, of course, on September 2nd, the Chanticleers opened FBS play with an impressive 38-28 win over UMass. Congratulations on that win.
Thank you very much. It was a special night for a lot of people. We were glad to get that one out of the way for sure.
You talked about mistakes. Early season ball games could be a big magnifier, could really help a team trying to find its way to win a football game. They made two critical mistakes. One very early. They tried to make a play. They threw a backwards pass, and Nick Clark, heads-up play, playing to the whistle, recovered the fumble. That set up our first score.
Yeah, I thought, if you look at the whole game, that was the difference, the two turnovers. That was a big one early. I thought our defense did a nice job. You mentioned playing, you want to play hard and get on the ball no matter what until that referee tells you it's something else. And he did that. We're able to score. I think the big deal in the red zone, we were 5 for 5 in the red zone.
Yep.
And they were, I think, 2 out of 4 or something of that nature. That's a big difference.
Dalton Demos, I want to talk about this story. What a great comeback story for that youngster to get back to Coastal. He started here in 2012. He redshirted. He played in 2013 and actually got into some games, threw a touchdown pass against VMI, and then he went elsewhere for a couple of years. Now he's back as a graduate student. What a great comeback story. He scored the first 2 touchdowns for the Chanticleers.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, I wasn't here with him, but, I think he was behind, a really good player and felt like he didn't, there's no way he was going to play over him, which probably not. And he was able to go some other places, but had some injuries and just not a lot of luck at those other places. I think he tore his knee twice. And obviously with our quarterback situation, I think we had people lined up to try to get here, so, hey, we can go play there. But for his credit, he's come back, he's had a good attitude. And I was pleased for him to see. I think he does care about Coastal Carolina. He cares about his teammates. And for him to get a couple touchdowns there, we got to get him to celebrate with his team instead of the fans. And so, but he's learning that. So next time he scores, he'll know what to do.
The game went back and forth in the first half, Coach. The Chanticleers would score, and then the Minutemen would come back. The Minutemen, rather, they would come back and put a touchdown on the board to tie things up. Coastal got a score late in the first half to take the lead. How important was it, do you think, to have that lead at the break?
I think it was a big deal. Obviously, anytime you go in when you're up, you feel confident about it. I think more than anything, it just gave our young team confidence. Hey, we can move the ball, we can score, and we were going to need to do that because every time we did score, it looked like they matched it, and right out of the second half, that's what happened. So, all coaches, when you go into halftime, everybody gives the same speech. Hey, it's 0-0, or if you're behind, hey, you got to win the game. But for us, it was more just, hey, we needed that just to build some confidence because we got a little low there in the second quarter.
Second half, they came out. Once again, they tied the game at 21. And then the defense, I thought, really settled in for this football team. I think that's so important these days in college football. It's an offensive game, in my opinion. I think if you can string together 2 or 3 stops and get ahead of schedule, that's what will separate the teams at the end of the day, and I thought that's what Coastal did. We got several stops, and we're able to take a 17-point lead.
Yeah, I think after the first drive of the second half, there for the next might have been 3, 4, 5 drives.
Yep.
I think our defense was lights out and did a phenomenal job. And we were able to get a little bit of lead, a little cushion there. Not as much as you liked. I think our offense got a little stagnant. There were two drives in a row when we could have put the game away. We're 1st and 20 because of penalties.
Right.
But I thought our defense did a really nice job adjusting after that first drive and really shutting them down. And it was good for us to see offensively to take advantage of that.
Tyler Keene got the start at quarterback in the game against UMass. Didn't put up big numbers, but he protected the football, and he threw a nice touchdown ball there to Chris Jones.
Yeah, that was a great play. He, they brought a little blitz, and I think he panicked on it, made it a lot harder than what it needed to be, but he threw a nice ball in there. And you mentioned it, his numbers aren't going to be, wowing, but the bottom line of that game is we felt like if we didn't turn it over, we had a good chance to win the game. And that they had 2, we had none, and that was the difference in the football game. And he did a really good job. We didn't have a delay of games. He didn't. I think maybe Coach Chadwell caught a bad play there towards the end of the game on a pass that they had a chance to do something with, and that was the only questionable throw he had. And so if you ask me, hey, how did he do? I'd give him an A+ for the way he managed the team, the way he put us in good plays, and that's what we needed out of him to get a win.
Did the quarterback rotation between Keene and Demos work as you had envisioned?
Well, it did that game for sure. There was a couple times where maybe you wish you had the other guy in for certain plays or vice versa. But I thought they both handled it pretty well. We were able to use Dalton and his skill set and take advantage of that in certain things. And obviously Tyler, with the way he can, Tyler can throw the ball well, but just mentally he's really sharp. And we've got to get better at, Coach, I do, as far as managing who's in there and when's not, to take advantage of it. But we were, as a staff, we were pleased how it worked out.
And a record crowd of 13,000 plus came out on opening night for FBS. Terrific crowd.
I thought it was. I thought it was loud. I've been here before, obviously, as a visitor. It's the loudest time that I've ever heard. I don't know if it was just because I was that nervous or what, but it was a great crowd. I thought our student body was excellent. And it looked like we had some, good folks from the community come in. We got to continue that up. We got to get them to stay all 4 quarters. That's a big deal. We're not always going to, be winning going in the 4th quarter, so we might need all that loudness. But I was pleased with it.
Coastal wins the opener, 38-28 over UMass. The coach and I will take a break, come back and talk about the Chanticleer MVPs from the UMass game after this. Back here on the Chanticleer Football Update alongside interim head coach Jamey Chadwell, Joe Cashion with you. Coastal wins the opener 38-28 over UMass a week and a half or so ago. And coach, the Chanticleer MVPs from the ballgame. First, let's talk about offensively. Oshamar Abercrombie, the senior out of Greenwood, a career night, 149 on the ground, 2 touchdowns. He was just phenomenal.
He was. He carried the team. He was a great. The thing you don't see is on the sideline, and you can hear him. You just encourage him when we were struggling there a little bit. Hey guys, this is it. We'll be fine. Just really encouraging those young people. He was an MVP all on the field and off the field. I thought the thing that was noticeable is he got harder and harder to tackle in that 4th quarter. I mean, he was in great shape. Those guys were bouncing off of him. Maybe he was getting 4 or 5 yards early, and those 4 or 5 started becoming 10, 15, 20, and he was getting steam. And I thought he ran hard and did a nice job overall. He blocked well when we asked him to block. He did a good job. Good job.
I thought the rotation with him and Marcus Outlow and Alex James worked really well in the run game.
It did. I think it was positive. Coach Durkin, the running back coach, does a great job, and all 3 of those guys are capable of being really good players, and trying to use them and with their skill sets. And Coach did a good job of having them in at certain times. But it's nice to know you don't have a drop off.
Right.
When those guys came in there wasn't much of a drop off, and it was good to get them. And I think Marcus had a really nice run, and Alex did a couple nice things.
Defensively, Miles White, sophomore defensive end, I thought had a big game for you. He was MVP on that side.
He did. Miles did well. He played obviously last year some, but it wasn't a starter and some of those things. This year, obviously, starting Miles is probably changed his body and the way he plays from spring to the fall more than anybody. You're just impressed with the fall camp that he had. So you knew, hey, he's got to maybe have a chance at a breakout year, but you just, it's different when they get in those lights. And I thought he did a really nice job of getting after the quarterback. But even if he couldn't get to him, he disrupted him, got him off his platform. And then I thought he really the question with Miles is, can he play the run? Can he play the run? He can rush the passer, no doubt. And every time, if you look at the video, every time they came to his side, he stomped up the offensive lineman and forced the running back into a short yard. So he was well deserved of that.
Then on the special teams, it was the junior punter out of Florence, Evan Rabin. Now the place kicker this year. He handled primarily the punting duties for his first 2 years, and now he's the place kicker. All good on PATs and a nice long field goal to boot.
Field goal was huge. Gave us after they tied it, gave us the lead there. I thought he did a great job. But he was really unsung on the punts. I think he had 4 inside the 20-yard line, and we're able to make them have a long field. I thought his punting was huge, and really changed the momentum a couple times when he was able to pin them back. And I think one of the couple times we pinned them back, we were able to get a good turnover off of it and be able to score. So, and that kick, I've not had really good kickers. So when he knocked that baby in, I tell you what, I was like, "Woo, that's good. All right, I feel good about this. Maybe we can get some points down here now." So he knocked that thing in well.
And 2 other guys I want to spotlight too quickly, Coach. Teron Jackson over on the defensive side of the ball. I thought he was awfully disruptive there. And then Trey Carter along the offensive front. He graded out better than any offensive lineman in this game. And those guys in the trenches don't often get publicity, but I think those 2 guys deserve some kudos for how they played.
I agree. Teron played extremely hard. He's a great kid. Just loves to play the game. You watch him practice. You don't know if it's a game. I mean, every day for him is like a football game, the way he comes out and approaches it. He's just got a great mindset. and a great motor. And I think that's what you see. When you have a great motor, you might not be the biggest or the fastest, but if you play 100% all the time, good things happen. He's a great example of that, and just a kid you love to be around. And Trey, redshirted last year, ended up playing, and if you told Trey to run through that wall, he'd run through it, then ask you what for afterwards. Trey's just going to do whatever you ask him to do, and we call him full speed Trey because even in walkthroughs, he's going full speed. He's sweating like crazy on, one of those guys, and the game means a lot to him, and you love kids that way. He loves football. He's a football guy, and he wants to be successful, wants his team to be successful. And for a young kid going against some, a team that's been established for a while,
right,
I thought he did a nice job.
So that'll put a bow on Coastal's win over UMass 38-28. The coach and I will take one final break, come back and preview the Blazers of UAB, the Chanticleer's opponent, this coming Saturday. We'll do it after this break. The Chanticleers hit the road for the first time in 2017 this coming Saturday as Coastal will head down to Birmingham, Alabama and take on the Blazers of UAB in historic Legion Field. And Coach, I, for one, am looking forward to this trip. The Blazers have resurrected their program. They shut it down after the 2014 season, but they're back now, and they are 1-1 on the year. They won their opener against Alabama A&M, but lost last Saturday against Ball State. What are your thoughts on this football team?
I think I'm excited about it too. Obviously, Legion Field is pretty special place in the history of college football, so I'm pretty pumped about going down there. I do think they're a very athletic football team. They're going to be more athletic than the UMass folks that we played, so I think that's going to be a big difference for the people listening and watching the game. I think they're pretty talented. They got a quarterback that's a really good player. That's a tough football player that makes plays for them, and they got some good young backs and receivers. They try to play fast and get as many snaps as possible. So that's going to be a new challenge for us defensively because we've not seen that yet. And then I think on offense, they try to be multiple. Their head coach has been known as a big time defensive coordinator, been a successful defensive coordinator at the college level, and has done a great job of building their program. So it's going to be a huge challenge for us. Anytime you go on the road, I think it's a challenge, but especially with a new team, a young team like we have. They're an older team, even though they've not played. They're a lot older than us overall. So I do think us going away, we got to be able to focusing on the things that we can take care of. If we'll do a good job of taking care of the ball again, I like our chances.
They are an old football team, as you mentioned. They have 3 players on their team that are 26 years old, and they've got a lot of JUCO transfers, a lot of kids from community colleges, a lot of transfers from FCS and other FBS programs. And this is not, it's not typical that you see a program shut down and then come back, but they've got an interesting roster they've cobbled together, and they've got some talent.
They do have some talent. They've got you mentioned. I think they got about 10 or 15 that are drawing Social Security on their team. They've been there a while, so they got some old guys. But they've done a good job. They figured out, hey, we got guys that wanted to come back with their program, and they've got some transfers that were to other different places because they wanted to make sure. I'm sure that hey, we got to try to get. We can't just do it off all freshmen. And they do. They've got guys from everywhere across the country, from California all the way down to Florida, and so that have played in a lot of big games. For them, most of those guys have played in some big games. Even though this is their first year back, a lot of those guys played at other places. So we are excited about just the challenge. I think our guys, or some of our players mentioned earlier, it's you never been to a place like this, first FBS away game. Maybe they're going to have 40-something thousand there. Who knows what it's going to be? It's going to be a great atmosphere, and but it gives us another opportunity. Big thing about us, we don't care really what we're playing, who we're playing. It's focus on the things that we need to do to be better. And if we'll go down there and get better at those things that we really worked on, I really like our chances.
How did your team use the bye week, the unusual week 2 bye week, to maybe get rested and healed up a little bit after UMass and then get ready for UAB?
Well, part of it was hurricane prep, obviously.
Sure,
there.
Yep.
That was part of it. But what we tried to do is, because it was so early, there's still things that you needed to get better long term. And so we did a lot of fundamental things, just not necessarily for UAB, but just fundamentally what are things that we know we've got to get better at on all 3 phases. We put a lot of time into that. And then we did get a head start on UAB, but they only had the 1 game, and it was Alabama and A&M, a team they were obviously better than. So They didn't show much. And so you try to do some basic things that you knew about them just to get you a little jump start. And then we really ramped it up, obviously, on Sunday night after they played their game, so we were able to really see what we felt like they were. And so I thought, bye week wise, we got rest, but the fundamental part of the football game in all 3 phases is a heavy special teams emphasis. I thought we did some things we needed to get corrected.
What, in your opinion, are going to be the keys to a Coastal win to go 2-0?
I think on defense, we've got to make sure they're going to try to snap the ball as fast as possible. We have to line up and be in the right position. If we're in the right position, I like our matchups. We got to do a good job of getting them off the field. Offensively, we've got to be better on third down. If we're 1-11 again on third down, we won't win the football game. It's always a turnover game, always. That's going to come down to it. But if we'll take care of the ball, they take care of the ball, what would you say it come down to? It's going to be third downs. Can we get them off the field, and can we stay on the field?
Fans, we'd like you to be involved here with the Chanticleer Football Update. If you have a question for the coach that you'd like to get in and want me to ask, be sure to email us at askthecoach@coastal.edu. Again, that's askthecoach@coastal.edu. And a reminder that the game time on Saturday will be 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 Central. So the Chanticleer Sports Network will go on the air at 12 noon Eastern for the 1 Eastern kickoff. Coach, best of luck, and we will see you back here next time.
Thank you very much.
All right, so for interim coach Jamey Chadwell, I'm Joe Cashion. See you next time on the Chanticleer Football Update.